Hi, I'm Brian Mitsoda, owner and project lead here at Double Bear Productions, and thanks for checking out our Kickstarter. I'd like to take the time to tell you a little bit about our game Dead State and why your support is so important to the project. From the start, we've wanted to make Dead State's focus more true to the zombie genre. That is, it's not really about the zombies, it's about the humans and what happens to them physically and psychologically weeks or months after a major crisis. It's not about killing everything in sight. It's about trying to lead a group of strangers and hold them together long enough to hopefully see some resolution to societal breakdown. Now, a little bit about our setting. Our game takes place in the present day, in the fictional town of Splendid, Texas. There, you'll join up with some other survivors at Splendid General Public School. When you start the game, you'll make choices that help define your character's background and appearance. You can walk around and talk to the characters at the shelter, or they may bring something to your attention at the start of the day. All of these allies have their own fears, preferences, and relationships with other survivors in the shelter. They may ask for upgrades, to scavenge new locations, or to settle a dispute between them and another ally. There are a number of things you can do at the shelter, like assign jobs to your fellow survivors. For example, instead of having to subsist on cold cans of food, you could assign an ally to become a chef, which gives everyone a daily morale bonus. You can also upgrade certain areas of the shelter with found parts in the necessary level of a skill. A science room could become a lab where armor upgrades or explosives could be researched and manufactured. However, for as safe as the shelter is, players can't hide in there forever. To keep allies' morale high, you're going to need to find food and other supplies out in the world. That means taking a team out to new locations and scavenging what you can. We don't force you to fight every single enemy. Dead State works on a goal-based system that rewards the player for achieving milestones within the world. You can use these points to increase skills, which will open up new perks. Skill perks can further enhance the abilities of your character. You and your allies aren't the only survivors around. Going out in the world means you're going to run into looters or even more organized groups. Unsurprisingly, you're also going to run into zombies. Zombies are attracted to noise, so actions such as combat are going to draw their attention. Zombies aren't much of a threat individually, but become dangerous in groups. They'll attack any humans they see, so with a little trickery, they could even be used against your enemies. Our combat is turn-based. We use a fog of war so you won't see the enemy unless you or one of your party members sees them. Allies have distinct personalities in the field. You can assign them combat priorities and equipment, but unlike the player, allies can also suffer from panic. Bear in mind that allies can be permanently killed, so you're going to want a medic with you if you want to keep them alive. Over time, your interactions can influence ally behavior and perks. Another unique feature we have in our game is the crisis event. Certain allies of the shelter command trust from the others. When a crisis event happens, these sub-lead characters gather to discuss the issue with the player and vote on major problems affecting the shelter. As the leader of the survivors, you have final say on how the shelter deals with the crisis. If sub-leaders agree with your position, they'll convince allies that you made the right decision and morale will go up. Of course, if you've earned their respect or bribed them, you may be able to get them to support you no matter what. Now that you've taken a look at Dead State, I'd like to talk to you about what your support means and why it's so important to a small developer like Double Bear. We know there's a demand for good RPGs, but RPGs take time. They require a lot of content, which means a fairly large team. With your funding, we can both grow our team and transition most of our staff to full-time development, which allows us to finish the game much faster. I don't know about you, but overall I'm a bit sick of zombie games, mostly because they don't really stay true to the zombie genre. Our goal has always been to recreate the feel of classic zombie movies. The zombies are there, but the focus of the game is human survival. We think the real world is underutilized as a setting. It works to our advantage to create more realistic characters and reinforce the horror aspect. Aside from the dead coming back to life, you will find nothing paranormal. Yep, we're turn-based. We pay tribute to a lot of older RPGs where the combat was more strategic. If you're not careful, you can get yourself into a bad situation. For people willing to experiment with different tactics, there are a number of approaches to combat. There's a lot of dialogue in Dead State. Allies react to your leadership, events change based on your decisions, and randomized elements keep each playthrough different. Factor in multiple endings based on morale, leadership, and diplomacy, and each player should feel like they have their own personalized story of how they led their shelter. Your party members are normal people with their own likes and dislikes. Difficult decisions are part of your job. It's going to take negotiation, scare tactics, lying, bribes, choosing sides, and wise use of your allies to get to the end of the game. Having worked on much bigger projects such as Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, I can tell you that it's extremely difficult to pitch anything new to publishers. Non-fantasy settings, original systems, unconventional plots, it's tough to get that material in a mainstream game. Being independent, we can experiment with systems like morale that would be unpopular in mainstream RPGs. Creating unique experiences is one of our biggest strengths. and it's why it's so important to support indie projects like Dead State. I've worked for a few RPG companies that have had to close their doors, such as Troika and Black Isle, and having Kickstarter back then would have made a huge difference. For most companies, having a great team and great ideas isn't enough to get a game made. We need your support, that's why we're here. Your pledges not only help us build Dead State and pay our team to do so, but create the base of a new RPG company. We're really excited about bringing you Dead State, and we hope this is just the beginning. So I'll let you check out our rewards in our trailer again. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment on our Kickstarter page, or better yet, stop by our forums and our Facebook page and leave us a comment there, and we'll get back to you. Our forums are also a great place to visit for additional information on Dead State. We've done frequent design updates on the project and plan to continue posting news on our progress. From myself and the rest of the Dead State team, thanks for checking out our video, and thank you for your support.